already made a tier list of aliens, and there you go. Let's go into that. Cool, let's go. Let's do this. So this is my tier list of the Aliens, Predator, and AVP movie tier list. Now, this is going to be interesting because there's going to be some folks in here that are thinking, yo, that's not where I put it. And there'll be people be like, oh, yo, that's where it'd be at. So I'll explain of why it's like. Was that godlike is right? Yes, 100% that is right. Because, yo, the first one you have here, boom, Aliens. The second movie, James Cameron, that super awesome, wicked movie, Aliens. Next is John McTiernan's amazing movie, Predator.
You son of a bitch.
Damn!
This movie just shook a lot of things. Reason being is because, like, in the 80s, Arnie was untouchable. Every movie he was in, he was destroying stuff. Literally, they made a movie to think, okay, what can we do, or what can we make to beat up Arnie?
It's showtime.
Nothing on Earth can beat him up, so we gotta get an alien. Yeah, they made that movie, which was just pure testosterone. You could start watching that movie with a clean-shaved face. You'll end up finishing watching that movie with a full-on beard and traps. Proper deltoids and that, yo. People say, yo, did you get those muscles working at the gym? Like, dude, I was watching Predator. And then obviously we had to have Alien in there, because you wouldn't have the whole franchise without that first movie. And that first movie is just so wonderfully made. And after playing Alien Isolation, just seeing how much detail I had to put into it. And then after, like, when I was watching the documentary of how they made the film, all the directors that they went through, and then they chose Ridley Scott at the end, H.R. Geiger, the stuff that he had to go through, and what his original drawings were like.
What the hell is that?
It really puts it out there, like, how wonderfully creative the team was, and it was brilliant. Aliens, like, the production team on that, like, it was basically James Cameron and Gail Ann Hurd, who was the producer as well as James Cameron's wife back in the day. Like, basically them two versus against the UK production team. Because I don't know if y'all know, but James Cameron apparently is a very tough person to work with, because he's a huge perfectionist, right? So he just wanted to get that work done and the UK production team were like, oh, we'll have another break, let's have another cup of tea, let's have, you know, this and that. And he's like, can we just get the work done? So they were very much up in R and such. And even another fun fact here is, like, James Cameron and James Horner, person who did the music for the movie, they even had a riff as well. Like, there was so much tension going on set. Hey, look what happened. They pulled it off, and the movie was just absolutely excellent. All right, here we go. Next up is the A tier list. Now, I only put one movie in there. I did have Predators in there, but it's not really, like, super awesome. It's awesome, but it's not super awesome. Predator 2. I know some people will, like, give it a bit of flack out there, but I liked it. Reason being is because it added more stuff to the Predator. The Predator obviously had more weapons and such. It wasn't a fully trained Predator as well either. It was a young blood, so it's still learning the ropes and such. And it was set in a totally different environment, you know, concrete jungle. So it had a lot more things to do and whatnot. It had more, I don't know, more temptation, for instance, because it had more people there, more things going on. It's like crime-ridden, infested, concrete jungle, Los Angeles, in the middle of a heat wave as well, 1997, which was back then into the future, you know? It's like, it was only 7 years, because the movie was made in 1990, and it was thrown up in, like, to 1997. Yeah, I always remember as well, I think I mentioned it on Grabby Back's channel, that Predator 2, my folks let me watch it back in the day, but there was one part that they, like, always had to fast forward. So there's a part, right, where it's zooming into the Colombians, and he's getting busy with he's not his missus, it's like he's basically getting busy with this lady, and it's quite full on, that scene. I mean, it only lasts, like, I'd say 5 seconds, 7 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, but it's enough to make a young person be like, whoa, what's going on? So yeah, and the Jamaicans burst through, and basically it just showed the Predator had, like, a lot more things going on. Like, it had the net gun, which is really interesting, spear gun, things like that, and the scene where they're in the train station and they're on the train and they shoot the lights out, and basically the lights are all flickering and such, and the Predator's just going through, just killing everyone, because literally in Los Angeles back then, literally everyone had a gun. Maybe it's kind of like how it is now, and it was just so cool. That whole scene was really cool. And Bill Paxton right at the end, because the Predator comes up to him, like, invisible, goes, want some candy? And he's just like, let's dance, and just dives at him. Like, yo, that was really cool. Yeah, of course, The Predator didn't kill everything. It was minus the lady with the baby. Yeah, of course. But apart from that, oh yeah, because the lady with the baby, that was the cop, wasn't it? But man, Danny Glover in that movie.
Kiss my sweet ass.
Oh dearie me, man. It makes you think as well, like right at the end when he's chasing after the young blood and he beats up the Predator. You know when like the elder Predators come in at the end and they just look at him going, young blood, you did not do well. Like, get back in the house. Like, what are you doing? Like, you walking past it, just like clip your head while you go past. Like, get in there. What's that, Grampy Back? Yeah, Danny Glover was over the top and you were cool with it. I just think it's funny.
Kiss my sweet ass.
I'm not like, oh man, I can't believe he did that. I'm just laughing at it because it just added like a bit more. It's not super serious, but it's fun. You know what I mean? It's all right.
I don't roll up for anybody without a goddamn good explanation.
Then you had Gary Busey, who was in charge of I think he was in charge of the OWLF, which then made its way into the Predator Hunting Grounds game. And you get to learn a bit more on it because it stemmed off from this travesty down here, which we'll get into in a bit. Alright, y'all. So we're in Tier Maker Part B. By the way, folks, this one I'm doing right now is going to be on my XenoChat and YowChatter podcast type thing that I've got going on. I put Prometheus before Predators. The reason being is because when I heard that Ridley Scott was going to go back to kind of like the origins of the xenomorph, I was very curious about it, given how technology had advanced since the last movie, which was Alien Resurrection, and Ridley Scott, who did the first movie, is back on board. I thought this is pretty interesting. When I first saw the movie, I liked it. And it ended on that cliffhanger as well. They're like, right, we're going to go to their home world, to the engineer's home world. I was like, yes, I can't wait for Prometheus 2 to come out. And there was a few bits and bobs that happened in Prometheus that I thought, yeah, I liked. You know, especially the part where Shaw, that's her name, Numi, yeah, Shaw, where she had to give herself a cesarean and she had to get out from her, and that was just like, that was a really cool, intense scene. Like, I really liked it. That was really cool. I feel like at the end they had to put the whole huge face hugger thing at the end just to give it as fan service for Aliens fans. Actually, I heard that Ridley Scott originally didn't want to do that. He just wanted to keep it specifically just about the engineers, but the studio was really pushing it like, hey, yo, this is supposed to be based around aliens. Put a xenomorph in there so folks don't leave the cinema or leave from watching the movie thinking, oh man, I was going to see a xenomorph in there. So I think they just had to put that in there for fan service. I'm like, well, okay, but if you can make it tie in with the story well, then that's absolutely fine. But me personally, I enjoyed the movie. Next up is Predators. This was a very good take on the Predator franchise, I thought. There was a massive break. So Predator was made in 1990. Predators was made in 2010. It was just like, there was just such a huge gap where it's like nothing happened, you know? And I'm glad that Robert Rodriguez was on it. He didn't direct it, but I'm glad he was on it to help with the making of it, because it just goes to show like how well done it was. And it was just an interesting, cool idea as well. It's like a ship just drops all these criminals and fugitives and prisoners and such on this planet for the hunt. Exactly, Grampy Bad just dropped her in for the hunt. You had all different types of characters. It was cool. It really gelled it together. And when I heard that Danny Trejo was in it, I thought, yo, this is gonna be cool. But so yeah, I mean, there was also some good ideas in there as well. You had the Predator Hounds. I thought that was pretty cool. And Adrian Brody, I thought he did really well in it. I think he's pretty cool as an actor. He did really well in Predators. So hats off to that. Right, we are on to C. Now this is where it's going to get a tad bit interesting. So Alien Covenant. As much as I would have liked to have put that higher, I can't. I really can't. Reason being is because there were so many parts in it that I thought it could have been better. It could have been better. And it was more like David Covenant.
I'll do the fingering.
And the whole flute thing, I'm like, did you have to have that in the movie? Like,
I'll do the fingering.
You know, part where the guy is in the med bay, but it comes out from his back, and the woman is just like, let me out. The other woman's like, no, I ain't gonna do that, and they're like slipping all over blood and such. But how it came out from the back was pretty cool. Another reason why I don't really like Alien Covenant as much as well is because it stopped Neil Blomkamp's Alien 5, which I so wanted to be done. Sigourney Weaver was on it. Neil Blomkamp he's a dope director. Like, if anybody has watched like Chappie and District 9, and if anybody has watched the Oat Studios shorts that are on Netflix right now, you'll understand like the guy knows how to mix in sci-fi, horror, and gore. And from the concept art that you see for Alien 5, like what they were going to do with it, and how basically he was making that movie to retcon Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection as well. Like, dude, that would have been amazing. That would have been really, really cool, because I've said time and time again earlier, movies wise, I wish that they stuck with the story like how Dark Horse Comics did with the Earth War trilogy with Earth Hive, Nightmare Asylum, and Female War, which were the 3 books in the trilogy. They really should have stuck with that, but they didn't. Hence Alien 3 was made, and they had to change the names in the novels, in the books actually, from Hicks and Newt to Wilkes and Billy. But yeah, we could have had Alien 5, but we got Alien Covenant. People weren't happy about it. They weren't happy for the fact that they thought that David created the xenomorphs. He didn't create the xenomorphs, he basically created his own version of it. And there was more questions left at the end of the movie than what they were answered. And also, I know that Noomi Rapace, who played Shaw, either she didn't want to be in Alien Covenant or she couldn't make it for Alien Covenant. I think her schedule might have been quite busy and such. So they basically just killed her off right at the beginning. And I'm like, why do aliens do that? I mean, not aliens, but I mean, why do the alien movies do that? They just kill off the characters right at the beginning, you know? Boom, Alien Resurrection. I can't really remember this movie that much, but from what I can remember, it was a big cheese fest. It was one of those movies that you don't take seriously, you just put it on and just like an hour, 45 minutes or however long that was, it just kick back and relax and enjoy. Sigourney Weaver was on that. Was because she just got a boatload of money. I don't blame her.
They can bill me.
Fun fact for you as well, the basketball scene in that movie is not CGI'd or anything. Sigourney Weaver proper made that shot. Jesus! No CGI, no string work or anything like that. And it was the first movie to show what the xenomorphs look like underwater. And that scene was pretty cool when they were trying to swim away from it. Well, swim away from it, there was 2. They were swimming away from 2 of them. Yeah, 2. Yeah, one got blown up, but they were like swimming next to each other. And Ron Perlman, like he goes back, doesn't he? He turns back and like Jesus Christ, pops the shotgun and like flows through and like hits one of them. The other's like, that's a cool scene. That's a cool scene. It had a few moments in there, but I think you can definitely tell that the director stamped his style on the whole movie, because the way how it was set up and how it looked and all, very different from the other movies. Very different. Y'all. Alien 3. Oh! Now, I've discussed about this movie before, right? My very first podcast, I've discussed the movie before. And I could be talking about this movie for hours. Trust me, I could be talking about it for hours, but I'm not going to, because I'm just not going to. But this movie went into development hell like crazy. Absolutely crazy. They went through so many scripts and so many directors. It was a nightmare. You had a script from William Gibson, which that Dark Horse Comics adapted into a 5-part series. They've released a novel about it, which I've been reading. They've released an audiobook of it, which brought back Michael Biehn, who played Hicks, and Lance Henriksen, who played Bishop. Reading it and listening to it, that's how Alien 3 should have been. You also had David Tui's script that didn't go through. And David Tui, he's a pretty big director in Hollywood. And there were so many things that just went wrong with that movie. 20th Century Fox, they chose David Fincher to direct Alien 3, and that was his first movie that he'd ever done, because he came off from doing MTV music videos and adverts. After reading the stuff, I feel really sorry for him, because I just didn't really want to help with him at all. And then there's like 2 editions as well on it. Like the standard edition where the alien actually comes out from a dog, so it's called a dog burster, and then the assembly cut, which is apparently the best version of it, comes out from an ox. The special effects on the alien
Whack.
weren't very good. Yeah, it was a bit of an interesting idea, having it set on a prison planet, Fiorina 161, but I don't know. It's just going to take me a bit of time to warm up to it, because obviously right at the beginning of Alien 3, another spoiler alert, that Hicks dies, Newt dies, and it's just like, wow, you've really put me in a spot now. Like, do I really...
Why you pouring me? I'm right.
I don't know. I mean, Alien 3 is just, it's one of those movies that, I mean, even the director hated. He just didn't want to be on it. So I'm like, okay. he really hates it. He just like, whenever you mention Alien 3 to him, he's just like, nah, dude, don't even talk to me about that. They had this thing as well, like I think it was an anniversary of Aliens, that they wanted to bring the directors back to do like audio commentary. David Fincher wouldn't have any of it. Just like, nah. Just miss me with that nonsense. So this image here, Neil Blomkamp put a tweet out saying that I don't know what's going on about this. Like, I didn't commission this, so it wasn't for the movie at all. But it's very interesting to see where it's going. So basically, I think Will and Yutani was probably trying to go for something like this, like how they could try to control the xenomorphs. So I don't know whether that may have slid into the movie, but yo, that would have been really, really cool to see. You know, really, really cool to see. All right, y'all. So now we're on to Bruh. The reason why I labeled this as Bruh is because I can't believe these movies were made.
How dare you!
But they were made, so we're gonna have to discuss about it. First one, Alien versus Predator. Now, this, you would think, being an Aliens fan and a Predators fan, that this is a match made in heaven. When I was really young, back in the early 90s, I collected a ton, and I mean a ton, of Dark Horse comics. And the 1989 original run of Aliens versus Predator was one of the best comics I've ever read. And hearing that there was going to be a movie that was made, I thought, brilliant, it's going to be made from that comic on the planet Ryota.
Nope.
So they took some elements out from that comic, but they just didn't make it how it was supposed to be. I mean, even when I was saying, like, in one of my podcast videos that, you know, you had Sana Lathan and the Predator Scar, basically running away from a queen alien. Like, okay, that's as believable as Bryce Dallas Howard in the first Jurassic World running away from a T-Rex in high heels.
What?
Like, really? Really? You're gonna run away from a T-Rex in high heels? So that movie could have been much better. I don't know whether they can actually make a really good Aliens vs. Predator movie. I want them to. I just don't know, y'all. I just really don't know. What else can I say about that movie? Yeah. Alien vs. Predator Requiem. Now, unfortunately, on Aliens Day, I did not have enough time to rewatch it because I haven't seen that movie in a hot minute, so I couldn't really remember much. All I can remember is that it's very dark. Very, very dark. And you had that clip where, because a lot of people weren't happy that it showed a child getting killed by an alien, like a chest burster coming out from it. The movie was too dark. It had interesting ideas for fight scenes and whatnot, so I was like, okay. But the humans in that movie, oh man, I think it's basically like any monster movie that you have. The humans are always going to be silly on it, to a point where it's like, don't even show humans anymore, just show the monsters.
Let them fight.
Like, just have it like that, you know what I mean? I don't know, I think next time I watch the movie, I'll need to turn the brightness and the contrast up, and I think I should be fine. I need to watch the movie again, but I do put it on the bruh list because literally they have two iconic franchises, two iconic monsters, creatures, whatever you want to call them. You put them together and it's like they can't do it. It's like when you create like a fantasy football league or a fantasy basketball league, fantasy soccer league, and you have all these great players who are brilliant by themselves and such. You put them in a team and they just can't work. They can't function together, and it's like Que Diablos. That's how I felt like in the Alien vs. Predator movies, but in the comics, they work perfectly. And there's different types of ways how the Aliens vs. Predator stories work in their own ways and such. You have Deadliest of the Species, you have Eternal Vows, you know, Eternal War. No, sorry, I was getting mixed up with there's a comic from The Thing, called The Thing from Another World, from Dark Horse Comics, and that one of the series is called Eternal Vows. Best way to look at it, it's not based on the comics, it's based on the two movie franchises. Yeah, that's true, but even then, they still can't really get it right. Before Predators and before Alien vs. Predator movie came out, there are novels out there by Steve Perry, Stephanie D. Perry. You had Alan Dean Foster that wrote books for Aliens as well, and it's like there are novels out there and such. Then with comics, you know, you've got the Dark Horse comics and whatnot that were actually big sellers back in the 90s as well, big sellers. So I mean, yo, there's content out there. And if they say that there's no content out there, how come, you know, there were games made? They made it work, you know what I mean? So, you know, there's still ways to do it in the medium. You can be chill with it, you know? Last one is the Predator. At first, when I first saw it, I thought this is cool what they've done with the Predator. But when you really, really look into it, Shane Black, the director, who funny enough was in the first Predator movie, and he helped write, I think he either helped write the story for it. Yeah, he actually helped write the story for it, the screenplay for Predator. So he directed the Predator, right? And remember, Shane Black, he also directed Iron Man 3 as well. So he's kind of known in that space. Some stuff are really ridiculous in the Predator. The humans were just there for comedic relief. And yeah, there's a part right at the beginning where the main guy, the main human, he acquires some of the Predator's gear, and he has an orb, right, that helps the Predator turn invisible, and he wants to mail his stuff over to the USA. So I think he's in like Guatemala or Mexico or somewhere in Central America, and he's like, yo, I want you to mail this stuff out for me right now, it's really important and such. So he swallows the orb that can turn him invisible and such. I'm like, really, dude? How is that gonna what?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
How are you gonna stop it from turning you invisible, like in and out and such? Like that's really weird. And so did the other people that were in there as well. It was like, it was very comedic. Like when you saw them without the Predator, you would think that it wasn't a Predator movie. I like how they portrayed the bad blood in there. I thought that was really cool. They had a lot of good death scenes in it, a lot of good kill scenes in it. But man, the movie could have been so much better. We waited a long time to get, again, another Predator movie. I think this came out in 2018, right? And Predators came out in 2010. So again, there's another long wait. I thought it was disappointing because the director of it was actually a writer in the first Predator movie, and they still didn't really get it done properly. I don't know, there's a lot of stupid stuff in that movie. There's a lot of stupid stuff. I forgot to mention as well that Lawrence Fishburne in Predators was actually alright in there.
I'm the one that got away. The one you don't with.
So yo, check it out. That is my tier list. Bit of a talk on there of me going through all the movies. I probably missed out a lot of stuff in these to go through, but I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to go through it on another Xeno chat type thing. Like the Predator, like Shane Black, what were you doing? That was just, I don't know. I think a lot of these movies, to be honest with you, I think I need to watch them again from a different lens, like to how I did when I first saw them. Be like, okay, now I'm getting a bit more of an understanding of what actually happened and whatnot, you know, and just go ahead with that. But I tell you one thing though, on this tier list, this section is not changing whatsoever.
It's the only way to be sure.
Godlike is not changing at all. Nothing's getting added to it. Nothing's getting removed from it. This is staying as it is because this is exactly what I think on it. A and B, I could do swap arounds in it. Like I could move Predators up here. I think that's the only thing that would change on it. C, I did originally want to put Alien 3 down in bruh. Do it! Alien Resurrection, I wasn't going to put that in bruh because it's just a fun, silly slapstick movie. I'm like, yeah. Alien Covenant needs work.
I'll do the fingering.
But yeah, these ones, bruh, was because I guess it was just stemming from an old school comic book and book reader that I did not expect it to be like that. If you go into it blind and you don't know anything about the franchises, then yeah, you will enjoy Alien vs. Predator, you will enjoy AVP Requiem, and you will enjoy the Predator. But if you are quite invested into it, like how I am, you are going to see some flaws that will unfortunately ruin the experience for you. But hey, everybody's different, you know. I'm not saying that they're super abominations. I would not at all discourage people from watching them because I believe that anybody should be able to watch whatever they want as long as it's legal. But I just didn't dig it. Again, this is all just my tier list, you know. This is, you know, I'm not telling you like this is how it is and your opinion's like nah, man. This is just my opinion, you know. So yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe!
That's it, man.